This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter down welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday boy for today, March the 15th, in the middle of March, is a quarterback who was a legend. I know he's deceased, but I couldn't find anyone else for March the 15th. He lived to the age of 57, which is very young. Once you hit 70, then you're expected to die, I guess. Anyway, he would play quarterback for the LA Rams, the original LA Rams, for 9 years before going to Philadelphia for 3. He was even the first head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Excuse me, from 1961 to 1966, and was head coach of Atlanta from 68 to 74. He played for Oregon and wasn't drafted till late in the 1949 NFL draft. However, he made every team passing on him terrible, as he led the LA Rams to the 1951 NFL Championship. It was basically the starter from 52 to 57. And then he would join Philadelphia in 1958. No free agency. This was just, the Rams released him, and then he went to Philly and helped Philly win the 1960 NFL Championship. He didn't make any postseason appearances as a coach, but nonetheless, he helped the Vikings and Falcons get winning seasons. He was inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame in 1966 and the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1971. He is Norvin Brocklin. Norvin Brocklin enrolled at the University of Oregon. Basically, he was the star Oregon quarterback before Dan Fouts and Joey Harrington were even mentioned. Anyway, Van Brocklin did good, helping Oregon do it and all that. Oregon was supposed to go to the Rose Bowl and be the PCC champion, or the forerunner to Pac-12. However, by a vote, they put Cal in the game 6-4. Oregon and Cal both tied for the most PCC wins and all that. But anyway, so Cal had to go to the Rose. So Cal went to the Rose Bowl, and it was not too happy. However, the Pacific Coast League said, you know what, Oregon, why don't you play somebody else in a bowl game? Usually it's just the winners of each conference, but because there weren't too many bowl games, there were like 5 or 6 big ones. So Oregon would play SMU at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Anyway, the Pac-8 would not allow a team to play in a game not Rose Bowl. Their policy was stupid. The good news, Cal actually lost the Rose Bowl. The bad news, Oregon lost their game too. Lost the Orange Bowl. The Cotton Bowl. But Brocklin was 6th in Heisman Trophy voting. He decided to leave Oregon with 1 year of eligibility left. So he was picked in the 4th round of the 1949 NFL Draft. Now remember, the draft in those days were not as high. In fact, there were like lots of rounds, but basically, yeah. Van Brocklin was taken in the 4th round. Teams weren't sure if he wanted to go to college or not, so he fell into the draft based on that. For teams taking a quarterback, Detroit took Johnny Rouch from Georgia. Bad move. Green Bay took Stan Heath from Nevada Reno. The Rams took Bobby Thomason. They took a quarterback in the 1st round, the Rams did, but it wasn't Van Brocklin. It was Bobby Thomason from Virginia Institute. Frank Tripucka went to Philadelphia as a quarterback. He was okay. And Norvin Brocklin was picked. Was the next quarterback pick? So no, all right. The problem was the Rams already had a star quarterback, Bob Waterfield. So it brought up one of the first quarterback controversies in NFL history: Waterfield or Van Brocklin. So the Rams coach Joe Steidelar decided to solve the problem by platooning Waterfield and Van Brocklin. And the 1950 Rams scored 38.8 points per game. Still a record. The amount of points is not the record because the Rams didn't play in that many games. Unfortunately, they lost the NFL title game to Cleveland 30-28. Ironically, the Cleveland was where the Rams franchise was at one time. It was the Cleveland Rams in 1945 before moving to LA. So again, Van Brocklin and Waterfield split quarterback duties and helped Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch set a record for most receiving yards and tying the touchdown receptions mark of 17. The Rams beat Cleveland this time 24-17 on their turf. Waterfield took more snaps, but Van Brocklin, who only went 4 for 6 compared to Waterfield's 9 for 24, actually threw the winning touchdown pass to Tom Fears. That was the last time the Rams won a title until 1999 while in St. Louis. Well, what's funny is in 1951, Van Brocklin threw for 554 yards in a game against, I can't remember who he was. Well, Waterfield was injured, so Van Brocklin could play the entire game. That 554-yard record still stands to this day. Waterfield would retire from football in 1952, and Van Brocklin was unopposed at quarterback for the Rams, helping them get to the 1955 title game, but got crushed by the Browns. The Browns were just huge. Their time in the All-American Football Conference from 46-49 winning all 4 titles, and then from 1950 to 1955 getting to every title game was amazing. Van Brocklin decided to retire in 1958. He wanted to go to private business in Oregon. However, Van Brocklin didn't like that, so he changed his mind and wanted to play. The only problem was there was an issue with the Rams. So the Rams traded him to Philadelphia for 2 players and a first-round pick. It was found out that he didn't want to play another season for the Rams because of Sid Gilman's offense. And it wasn't because he hated Gilman, it was just because of the offense. Well, Gilman's offense would be huge for the Chargers in the 1960s in the AFL. Anyway, Van Brocklin was given total control of the offense in Philly in 1958, and he helped the Eagles attack. In his 3rd and final season with Philly, he got them to the NFL title game against the Green Bay Packers on home turf, thinking, well, Green Bay's a legendary team, they'll win. Nope. Well, Nope, he didn't. Well, they were 10-2. So Van Brocklin helped the Eagles beat the Packers 17-13. Van Brocklin had 2 NFL title triumphs. He decided to retire from football. He had no regrets. And the funny thing is, when Vince Lombardi was coaching the Green Bay Packers, the head coach, the only time he lost a playoff game, he went to a playoff game and lost, was to the Eagles, of all teams, in the 1960 NFL title game. Weird. So anyway, Van Brocklin cut his ties with the Eagles because he was sure he was going to be the coach. But no. But he was named the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, who were coming into the NFL. So anyway, in 6 years, Van Brocklin only got 29 wins for them. He had a problem with Fran Tarkenton. Van Brocklin was not happy with Tarkenton scrambling. He wanted Tarkenton to be a pocket passer. Tarkenton decided to say, screw it, I want to trade. And then Van Brocklin resigned in 1967. He wasn't canned. He was fired. I mean, he wasn't fired. He quit. Tarkenton would be traded to the New York Giants. And for 4 or 5 seasons, he played with the Giants. And then he came back to Minnesota and was better. In 1972, Tarkenton came back to the Giants. But thanks to Bud Grant, Tarkenton thrived. Yeah, it's funny how everyone says Bud Grant was the first Vikings coach. Nope, he wasn't. It was Van Brocklin. Anyway, Van Brocklin hated soccer-style kickers, which is now the standard in the NFL. All that. He would be a commentator. Van Brocklin went to be a commentator for CBS for 1 year in 1967, but then the Falcons decided to hire him And he did pretty well. 37, 49, and 3. Not really good. But he got Atlanta to a winning record in 1971 and almost got them to the playoffs in 1973. The weird thing is that the 73 Falcons actually beat Frank Tarkenton and the Vikings on Monday Night Football, which is ironic. And the Vikings were 9-0, so Van Brocklin got Frank Tarkenton, kind of. Van Brocklin would return to his pecan farm and all that. He was a running backs coach for Georgia Tech for a season in 1979. Van Brocklin had a number of illnesses, including a brain tumor, and died of a heart attack at 57. Ironically, 5 weeks after Bob Waterfield died, he died. And Brocklin was a heavy smoker. His stats, well, he won 61 games as an NFL quarterback. He threw for 23,611 yards, 173 touchdowns, but 178 interceptions if there's a bad. He still holds the record for most passing yards in the game, 554. And he was the first NFL quarterback to do that, to pass over 500. And he sets the record. Strange enough. And that's still a record to this day. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.